What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From the Bench. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and today is our Friday edition of the show where we're going to talk about a lot of things, again, with basketball and football here. At the same time, we've got a lot of things. We're going to start off talking about a little bit of basketball, but obviously this is going to be a predominantly football episode with how big our game is coming up this Saturday in Athens. That's going to be the majority of our show, what needs to go on during that game and my prediction and some more stuff about the game coming up. But before I get into anything, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below on how you feel about the game coming up this Saturday. So again, we're going to start with Vol basketball, Vol hoops. They got a big win, not a big win, but I mean big in margin. Pretty handy. They handled Montana pretty easily. Sorry, I was trying to figure out a way to say that, but they beat Montana pretty easily. It was a pretty close game in the beginning, in the first half a little bit. I think it was a 9-point game, but the Vols ended up winning 92-57, tailing a big game by Igor Milicic. He finished the game with 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. I mean, he was all over the place. So his best game of the year by far. He's been great. I mean, he was good against Louisville in the time he got to play, but he was in foul trouble. But he's going to be big for us all year. Chaz had 13 and 4. Another great game by him. Cam Carr played great off the bench. He had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Regular Sakai, had 11, 6, and 7. Good game by him. And Felix had 13 points, 4 rebounds, a steal, and 2 blocks. Good game by him. 13 points is 13 points, but I feel like for a guy that plays as much as he does and as big as he is, got to have a little more than 4 rebounds. I know Igor is a big guy in his own right, but I feel like that 4 number's got to be a little higher. On the other side of the scoreboard, of the scorers table, on the Montana bench, they had Money Williams, who, if you watch that game, he is an absolute bucket. He gave us 30. Great player in his own right. But I wanted to bring him up just to kind of talk about his story. Money Williams lost his father a year ago and then lost his mother less than a month ago. Really heartbreaking news, and, great to that kid. I mean, going through a lot. So him and his sister are raising 2 younger siblings. That's incredibly hard. Obviously, I don't know how that feels. A lot of us don't. But I mean, he's a warrior playing through it, and I'm sure he's playing for his family. Vol Nation found out about that and found his GoFundMe, and there's been over $90,000 raised. So credit to that, and if you want to go find it, I think it's on Vol Scoop's Instagram. It's in their bio. So go look at that. Money Williams himself has started the GoFundMe. So go give that a shout if you'd like. I reposted it on my personal Instagram, and I'll repost it on the From the Bench Instagram as well. Just incredible player, and obviously an even better human being. And Money Williams, if you're watching and if you are looking for a place to play next year, because obviously you're a lot better than Montana, Tennessee's got a place for you because that kid is ridiculous. He's a sophomore. Love to have you here in Knoxville. But that's all we're going to say about basketball today because, again, football is so big right now, and we have the biggest game of the year coming up this Saturday in Athens, Georgia. So we're going to start talking about football right now. Athens, Georgia, 7:30, prime time. You got Kirk and Fowler calling it. This is as big as it gets right here. You win, you're in. You lose, you're not, in my humble opinion. I know some people still have some hope that we wouldn't get in, or that we would get in even with a loss, but in my opinion, I don't think you would. A huge game for us coming up in Athens. The line is 9.5 as of this recording. I know the line's bounced around all over the place. Was it 10.5, 8.5? I mean, it's been all over the place. And the spread is 47.5. It's going to be a great game. Again, like we talked about on the last episode, it's going to be a very different game depending on who's playing quarterback for the Vols. But Nico was listed as questionable. We all know he's in concussion protocol, and if you want my opinion, I don't see him playing. If I'm being completely honest, and I'm going to hold hope and pray that he does play. But clearing concussion protocol in 6 days is just, that's a tall task, and I hope he does. And I know he's practicing, so that's a great sign. But I don't know. We're gonna predict this game as if Nico is playing because, again, we have a very small sample size of Gaston Moore, and we're going to hope that he is playing. So we're going to try and speak it into existence. Also on the injury report, Dante Thornton Jr. Was questionable. Hopefully he gets to play because, again, in my opinion, he's our second or third best receiver. He's definitely our best deep threat. We're going to need him tremendously this week. We're going to need all the help we can get over there in Athens, Georgia. Georgia's playing this game with a chip on their shoulder. If you ask me, it's Kirby Smart's biggest game regular season-wise in his tenure over there at Georgia. Obviously, not counting playoffs because, those are the biggest games. The national championships are a little bigger than this one. But, Georgia started the year as the favorite to win it all. They've dominated the last few years with a 4-team playoff. This is the first year of the 12-team playoff. It wasn't even a thought that, hey, Georgia might not even make it. But now it is. And you come in as the outright favorite, a quarterback who is a Heisman hopeful and a first-round draft pick. Hopeful, I guess you'd say, because it's not that anymore. This could be a failure for Georgia if you lose this game. Not finish 9-3 and don't make the playoffs or the SEC championship in a playoff where there's 12 teams now and you haven't struggled to make the 4-team. Obviously, they didn't make it last year, but then they pummeled Florida State. But, Georgia's had a lot of success. I don't think anybody's going to deny that in recent years. And again, the favorite to win it coming into the year. And you might not even make the 12-team playoff now, which is just unreal to think of. Backs are against the wall in Athens right now. And Kirby Smart is a great coach. Arguably, he's probably – no, not arguably. I think he's the best in the SEC. And he's going to come out with a great game plan. That atmosphere is going to be on fire at Georgia. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be a tough, tall task. Again, I said time and time again on this show, we've struggled. Josh Heupel teams have struggled on the road. And, we lost at Arkansas in that environment. We fortunately won that environment of Oklahoma, but Josh Heupel teams have struggled on the road all the time. South Carolina, Missouri, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, you name it, we've struggled on it. And hopefully, the offensive line's gotten a lot better. Lance Hurd has kind of flipped a switch in these last 2 games where we kind of question him, but now he's only allowed 2 pressures these past 2 games, so credit to him there. John Campbell, as y'all know how I feel about him, he's getting a little better. Cooper Mays is playing incredible. The O-line's getting better. It's can't false start. Can't get behind the sticks against this team. They're too good. The defensive line is too good. One thing I will say about Georgia, this year's team opposed to others is the defense is not, the secondary is not as good. Ole Miss won in man-to-man situations against them constantly when Ole Miss beat them, and we're going to have to do that. Brew McCoy's going to have to get separation. Squirrel White, more importantly, is going to have to create separation. That's why we'd love to have Dante Thornton back there. Mike Matthews, if he gets the chance. Chaz Namrod. Chris Brazell. All those guys are going to have to create separation, and even the tight ends. We saw how good Kitzelman could be against Kentucky, but Ethan Davis, Holden Stays. It's going to be all hands on deck for this one. And I think that starts at the O-line, especially if when you don't know who's playing quarterback yet. Regardless of who plays, that O-line's going to have to play good against that defensive line. You got to run the ball if you're the Vols, because that's. I think our 62% of our snaps have been a run this year, and rightfully so. We have arguably the best running back in the country. Dylan Sampson's been a machine. Can't fumble this week. You can't give the ball to Georgia, especially in that atmosphere, like I said. This is a game where you can't have things like fumbles on the first. I don't know if anybody's realized, but against Alabama, it was the first drive. Kentucky, it was the second drive, and last week was, I think, the first drive. So, he's cleaned it up after he gets the one out of his system, but you can't have that, especially early in the game. You can't let them put their foot on our necks early. I think, and J.D. Piquel said it best on Ansari's show. If you're the Vols, you kind of want to see a 40-yard bomb get completed early. It doesn't have to be for a touchdown, but you want to see that ball in the air and somebody going to make a play early, because you don't want to find yourself on back-to-back 3-and-outs to start this game, and that crowd gets going. That's the last thing you want to see. So, I don't need to sit here and tell everybody how big this game is. Everybody knows. It's huge. Another thing that I think the Vols are going to have to do in order to win this game is get after Carson Beck. And, if you watch the Ole Miss game, credit to Ole Miss, their defensive line is very talented, but they were getting after him with 4 guys. They weren't sending blitzes and sending 8 people up to the line and then dropping people back in coverage like you see in the NFL a lot. They were just sending stock 4 guys and getting after them. And, it seemed like Georgia was in a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 all game. And like I said on the last show, you get in 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 with James Pierce and Omar Norman-Lott and Don Bailey and Joshua Josephs, that 3rd down lineup that we'd like to throw in there to pin our ears back and really get after it. It's not going to be pretty for Georgia, especially with their offensive line struggling the past week or so. We're going to have to make sure this is what I'm worried about, as I've seen it time and time again with this program since I was a kid. When you got a big game like this, you can't let Georgia come out and start churning 6 yards a rush at all. And this is the best defensive line we've had in my lifetime, I'd like to say, confidently, especially now. So I hope that doesn't happen. But Mississippi State ran the ball well against us. We can't let Nate Frazier and company start, and Trevor Etienne is questionable. But even if he plays or doesn't, you can't let Georgia running back start churning off 4, 5, 6 yards a carry on 1st and 2nd down. You got to hold it to 2nd and 8, force an incompletion, and then pin your ears back and try and get after it on 3rd and 8. I think that's got to be the game plan for the Vols, and I'm sure Josh Heupel's got a great game plan cooking. That's not Will Meadows' game plan, and it's like I said on the offensive end, you're going to have to beat man-to-man coverage, and when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, you got to win in man-to-man coverage. Ole Miss did that a lot. They just trusted their guys and put some safeties back there, and their guys played defense. We've got Jermod McCoy. Their best receiver is Dylan Bell, in my humble opinion. Jermod McCoy's going to have to play some great defense. Ricky Gibson's going to have to step up. Boo Carter, who has not been afraid of the moment at all year. He's been huge for us these last few weeks, especially last week. Incredible. He's been all over the place, and he's going to have to be all over the place. And I'm sure that atmosphere is going to get him riled up. Just keep his composure, stay cool, and we'll be all right. I feel good about this game. It's obviously scary because y'all know how I feel about the Vols going on the road. But since Josh Heupel's been here, this is your best time to get Georgia down. This is your best time to beat them. We haven't beat them since the Hail Mary with Jawan Jennings. So, the keys to success, in my opinion: 1, get after Carson Beck. Don't let him be comfortable. We've all seen how much he's struggled the past few weeks. So many turnovers. He had 2 fumbles last week, a pick. You got to get after him. Attack their weak secondary. Again, it's not weak. It's not that this secondary is a liability, but it's not a normal Georgia secondary. Run the ball effective and early. Can't wait for Dylan Sampson to start turning off yards in the second half like we kind of were in the first part of the year. Score in the first half. We can't come off slow against these guys. We finally played good offensive football in the first half against Mississippi State. Again, that's Mississippi State. But you can't start off slow against these guys and let that crowd get into it. Beat man-to-man and play clean football, and you can't get behind the chains with penalty after penalty after penalty. But I think this is a really winnable game for the Vols. Like I said, this is the best chance we've had to get them down while Heupel's been here. And if you win, you move to 9-1, and you just got to beat UTEP and Vanderbilt, and you're in. UTEP's a win. I know college football is something else, but we will beat UTEP. That's 10-1. And boy, Vandy's a little better than they have been in a few years, and y'all know I've talked about Vanderbilt. I don't think they're that good. Diego Pavia is a solid quarterback. I'm not afraid of Diego Pavia. And bam, you're in, and you're in the you win this game, you're in the SEC championship if you win. If my thought is correct on this, even if you lose to Vanderbilt, I think you're in, because you'd have the head-to-head over Georgia, you'd have the head-to-head over Alabama. I think it would only be A&M against you and Ole Miss against you in the thought process of it. And this win could only fire up that recruiting trail too, just make it a lot easier and really establish us as a powerhouse in the SEC in the landscape of college football. Obviously, we're a powerhouse in the basketball side of things and baseball, obviously, we're an incredible football program. But the Georgias and the Alabamas of the world, they're big dog status. So a win like this could really establish you there. But again, make sure you guys leave a comment on what you guys think could happen this weekend or what your predictions are. My final score prediction, almost forgot. How could I forget? I think my final score prediction, keep in mind with Nico Yamaliava playing, is going to be Vols 27, Georgia 24. I've got us winning by 3. And the spread is 47.5. 27 plus 24 is 51 over. So, I'm not worried about betting because I'm not going to be betting on it. I don't bet, but even if I did bet, I'd never bet on my favorite teams. So, but that's my prediction. Let me know what your guys' predictions are in the comments. It's a big weekend. Basketball is playing on Sunday at 3 o'clock against Austin Peay. That's another game they should win. But all eyes are going to be on Saturday night, ESPN primetime football, 7:30 kickoff in Athens, Georgia. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like and a comment, subscribe to the channel, and go Vols.